Homelessness in the United States has reached crisis levels in 2025. Rising housing costs, economic instability, and mental health struggles have left hundreds of thousands of Americans without shelter. Cities across the country are struggling to provide solutions, while tent cities and encampments continue to expand. So, which cities are facing the worst homelessness crisis in 2025? Stay with us as we count down the 10 U.S. cities where homelessness is at its most severe. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more engaging content. Let's get started.
Number 10, Atlanta in Georgia. Atlanta is known for its rapid population growth and booming economy, but this has led to a severe housing crisis. Rising costs and gentrification have displaced thousands of residents, many of whom now face homelessness. Efforts to tackle the problem are ongoing, but have not been enough to turn the tide. In recent years, Atlanta has seen a 25% increase in rental prices, making it difficult for low-income families to secure affordable housing. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city has surged to nearly $1,800 a month. As wages remain stagnant, more people are unable to afford basic living expenses, pushing them onto the streets. Only about 10% of the housing stock in Atlanta is categorized as affordable, leaving a massive gap between supply and demand. The city's waiting lists for affordable housing units are years long, leaving many without hope for a permanent home. The lack of immediate housing options exacerbates the homelessness crisis, with shelters frequently at capacity. While Atlanta is an economic powerhouse, its wealth gap is growing rapidly. High-paying jobs in technology and finance are often out of reach for lower-income residents who are primarily employed in low-wage service industries. The gap between affluent neighborhoods and poorer areas has only deepened, contributing to a growing homeless population. Atlanta's homeless shelters are overwhelmed, with many people being turned away due to lack of space. Those lucky enough to find a spot often face substandard conditions and overcrowding. With limited resources, shelters are unable to keep up with the rising demand. Atlanta's housing costs and income inequality have made it harder for low-income residents to find stable housing. The growing number of homeless individuals shows no sign of declining without systemic changes. Number 9, Austin in Texas. Austin, known for its vibrant music scene and rapid growth, is also grappling with a homelessness crisis. With housing costs skyrocketing and wages lagging behind, the city has seen a sharp rise in its homeless population. Despite the city's reputation as a tech hub, many residents are unable to afford basic housing. Austin's housing market has become one of the most expensive in Texas, with the median home price now over $500,000. Rent has also increased dramatically, with a one-bedroom apartment costing around $1,700 per month. These high costs have priced out many longtime residents, pushing them into homelessness. Austin has enacted laws banning homeless encampments, but these policies have only displaced individuals without providing long-term solutions. The city has cleared several large encampments, forcing people to move to more hidden and unsafe areas. Critics argue that these policies do more harm than good, as they don't address the root causes of homelessness. While Austin's tech sector is booming, many of the jobs created are high-skill positions that are inaccessible to low-income residents. Service industry workers, who make up a large portion of Austin's economy, often struggle to make ends meet. This disparity between the tech elite and working-class residents has worsened the homelessness situation. Austin's shelters and services for the homeless are underfunded and overstretched. Many people in need of assistance face long wait times for basic services like food, health care, and mental health support. Without adequate funding, the city's ability to address homelessness remains limited. Austin's rapid growth and high housing costs have outpaced its ability to provide adequate housing solutions. The lack of affordable housing and support systems has worsened the city's homelessness crisis. Number 8, Seattle and Washington. Seattle's tech-driven economy has led to a housing affordability crisis that has disproportionately impacted lower-income residents. While the city has enacted progressive policies to address homelessness, the issue continues to grow, with tent encampments becoming a common sight. The wealth gap in Seattle has contributed significantly to the homelessness crisis. The rise of tech giants like Amazon and Microsoft has caused housing prices to skyrocket, with the median home price now exceeding $800,000. Many low-income residents can no longer afford to live in the city, leading to a significant increase in homelessness. Renters face similar struggles, with rents rising more than 30% over the past 5 years. As affordable housing becomes scarcer, many homeless individuals have turned to living in tent encampments scattered throughout the city. These encampments have become semi-permanent communities, highlighting the lack of housing options. However, they also present safety and sanitation challenges, which the city has struggled to manage. A significant portion of Seattle's homeless population faces mental health and addiction challenges. Unfortunately, the city's mental health services are overwhelmed and underfunded, leaving many individuals without the help they need. This lack of support has made it even harder for people to get back on their feet. Despite having one of the largest shelter systems in the country, Seattle's shelters are often overcrowded, forcing many to sleep on the streets. Some shelters have wait lists that extend for weeks, leaving homeless individuals without immediate access to housing. As the city's homeless population grows, these resources become even more strained. Seattle's housing crisis, compounded by the tech boom and a lack of mental health services, has left many residents without shelter. The city's efforts to address homelessness have fallen short of solving the growing problem. Number 7, San Francisco in California. San Francisco has long been at the forefront of the homelessness crisis in America. With the highest housing costs in the country, thousands of people in the city are unable to afford basic living accommodations. Despite progressive policies, the city's homelessness rate continues to rise. San Francisco's median home price is over $1.2 million, making it the most expensive housing market in the U.S. Renting is no easier, with average monthly rents exceeding $3,000. These exorbitant prices have pushed many residents onto the streets, unable to keep up with the cost of living. The wealth gap in San Francisco is one of the largest in the country, with tech billionaires and high-income earners living alongside a growing homeless population. The disparity between the ultra-wealthy and the city's poor is stark, creating a deep divide in access to housing. Many low-income residents have been forced out of the city due to gentrification. Homeless encampments are widespread throughout San Francisco, particularly in neighborhoods like the Tenderloin and Mission District. These makeshift communities serve as a stark reminder of the city's inability to provide adequate housing solutions. Efforts to clear encampments have only shifted the problem to other areas without addressing long-term needs. The growing homelessness crisis has created significant public health concerns, including unsanitary conditions in parts of the city. San Francisco has been battling a rise in diseases linked to poor living conditions, further highlighting the urgent need for improved services. The city's public health department has ramped up efforts to manage these concerns, but resources remain stretched. San Francisco's sky-high housing costs and income inequality have made it one of the hardest-hit cities in terms of homelessness. Despite efforts to manage the crisis, the problem continues to grow with no easy solutions in sight. Number 6, Los Angeles in California. Los Angeles has one of the largest homeless populations in the United States, with tens of thousands of people living without stable housing. The city's high cost of living, coupled with a lack of affordable housing, has made it extremely difficult to address this growing crisis. Various efforts have been made to combat homelessness, but they have largely fallen short. Los Angeles has the second largest homeless population in the country, with estimates suggesting over 70,000 people are homeless in the city. The sheer scale of the crisis makes it difficult for city officials to manage. Efforts to build more shelters and provide services have been unable to keep up with demand. Los Angeles' affordable housing shortage is one of the worst in the country, with the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment reaching $2,500 per month. As a result, many low-income residents are unable to find stable housing. The city has made efforts to build more affordable units, but progress has been slow and insufficient to meet the growing need. Skid Row, a neighborhood in downtown Los Angeles, has become the epicenter of the city's homelessness crisis. Thousands of people live in tents and makeshift shelters in this area, creating one of the most visible symbols of the city's failure to address the issue. Skid Row has become a focal point for both the city's efforts and its challenges in managing homelessness. The high concentration of homeless individuals in Los Angeles has led to numerous public health concerns. Outbreaks of diseases such as typhus and tuberculosis have been reported, exacerbated by unsanitary living conditions. The city's public health system is stretched thin, trying to address these issues while also managing the ongoing housing crisis. Los Angeles' massive homeless population and lack of affordable housing have created a crisis that the city has struggled to control. The situation remains dire, with no quick fix in sight for the city's most vulnerable residents. Number 5, Chicago and Illinois. Chicago is facing a homelessness crisis driven by high poverty rates, unemployment, and a lack of affordable housing options. Although the city has taken steps to address the issue, homelessness remains a significant challenge in the Windy City. The problem is particularly severe in certain neighborhoods that are struggling with economic downturns. Nearly 20% of Chicago's population lives below the poverty line, making it one of the most impoverished major cities in the U.S. This economic hardship has forced many families into homelessness, as they are unable to afford housing costs. The city has struggled to provide enough resources to help those in need. Chicago's unemployment rate has remained higher than the national average, contributing to its homelessness crisis. Many people who lose their jobs face a steep uphill battle to find new employment, particularly in areas with limited job opportunities. The lack of stable income makes it nearly impossible for these individuals to maintain housing. Chicago has a significant shortage of affordable housing, with thousands of people on waiting lists for housing assistance. The city's efforts to build more affordable units have been slow, and the demand far outweighs the supply. Without sufficient housing options, more people are pushed into homelessness. Chicago's combination of high poverty, unemployment, and a housing shortage has fueled its growing homelessness crisis. Despite the city's efforts, the problem continues to strain its resources and public services. Number 4, Phoenix in Arizona. Phoenix has seen a sharp rise in its homeless population due to unaffordable housing and extreme weather conditions. The city's rapid growth has not been matched with an increase in affordable housing, leaving many residents without stable shelter. As temperatures soar, the homeless population is especially vulnerable to health risks. Phoenix has experienced a surge in housing prices, with the median home price jumping over 30% in the last few years. Many residents are unable to afford the high cost of living, leading to an increase in homelessness. The city's limited affordable housing options have made it difficult for low-income families to stay housed. Phoenix's scorching summer temperatures, which often exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit, pose serious health risks to the homeless population. Many individuals lack access to proper shelter or cooling centers, leading to a higher incidence of heat-related illnesses and deaths. The city's efforts to provide relief have been insufficient in addressing the scale of the problem. Phoenix has struggled to provide adequate resources for its growing homeless population. Shelters are frequently at capacity, and outreach programs are underfunded and understaffed. As a result, many homeless individuals go without basic necessities like food, water, and medical care. Phoenix's rising housing costs and extreme weather have created a dangerous situation for its homeless population. The city's limited resources make it difficult to provide the necessary support for those in need. Number 3, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. Philadelphia's homelessness crisis is fueled by a lack of affordable housing and high poverty rates, making it one of the hardest-hit cities on the East Coast. Despite efforts to combat the issue, the city's homeless population continues to grow. Poverty and unemployment remain significant factors in the crisis. Philadelphia has struggled to provide enough affordable housing options for its low-income residents. The city's waiting lists for affordable housing can span years, leaving many people homeless in the meantime. Without adequate housing, the city's homeless population has nowhere to turn. Philadelphia has one of the highest poverty rates among major U.S. cities, with nearly 24% of its residents living below the poverty line. This economic hardship has contributed significantly to the city's homelessness crisis. Many families and individuals are unable to afford even basic housing, let alone other essentials. While Philadelphia has made efforts to address the issue, its shelters and social services are stretched thin. Many individuals cannot access the help they need due to long wait times and limited capacity. As the homeless population continues to grow, the city's resources are increasingly overwhelmed. Philadelphia's high poverty rates and lack of affordable housing options have created a homelessness crisis that continues to challenge the city's resources. Without significant intervention, the situation is unlikely to improve. Number 2, San Diego and California. San Diego's homelessness crisis has worsened in recent years, driven by unaffordable housing and a lack of mental health services. The city's homeless population has grown as a result, with many people unable to find stable shelter. Despite efforts to build more housing, the situation remains dire. San Diego's housing market has become increasingly unaffordable, with the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment over $2,400 per month. This has pushed many residents into homelessness as affordable housing options remain scarce. The city's rising living costs are a major factor in its growing homelessness crisis. San Diego has one of the highest populations of homeless veterans in the country. Despite efforts to provide housing for veterans, the city struggles to meet the demand. Many veterans remain without stable housing, contributing to the overall homeless population. San Diego's shelter system is overwhelmed, with many people being turned away due to lack of space. This leaves thousands of individuals without a safe place to sleep each night. The city's inability to provide enough shelter has exacerbated the homelessness crisis. San Diego's combination of high housing costs and inadequate shelter capacity has made it one of the most challenging cities in the U.S. for those experiencing homelessness. The city's resources are stretched thin as the crisis continues to grow. Number 1, Las Vegas in Nevada. Las Vegas tops the list with one of the fastest-growing homeless populations in the country. The city's reliance on tourism and entertainment has left many residents vulnerable to economic instability. As a result, the homelessness crisis has rapidly worsened in recent years. Las Vegas has seen a significant rise in housing instability, with rent prices climbing 20% over the last year. Many residents are unable to keep up with these rising costs, leading to a growing homeless population. The city has struggled to provide enough affordable housing to meet demand. Las Vegas's economy is heavily reliant on tourism, which can be unpredictable. Many workers in the hospitality industry have lost their jobs due to economic downturns, leading to an increase in homelessness. The city's economy lacks diversity, making it vulnerable to shifts in the tourism sector. Despite efforts to build more affordable housing, demand far exceeds supply. Thousands of people remain on waiting lists for housing assistance, with no clear timeline for relief. The city's inability to provide enough affordable housing has contributed to the growing homeless population. Las Vegas's rapidly growing homeless population, coupled with economic instability and a lack of affordable housing, has made it the city with the worst homelessness crisis in America. The city's dependence on tourism and entertainment only exacerbates the issue, leaving many residents without stable shelter. From the bustling streets of New York City to the sun-drenched avenues of Las Vegas, homelessness continues to plague cities across America. Each of these cities faces unique challenges, from skyrocketing housing costs to inadequate mental health services, making it difficult to find sustainable solutions. Which of these cities surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more insightful videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.